guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Kneon. I am here with Geeky Sparkles.
Hello.
And we're going to talk about the anime industry and how a Kickstarter apparently thinks it's going to fix all of the pay inequality in an industry that is very, very low budget. So we're going to talk about that and sort of talk about the average rates for animation and the cost of animation and how important animation is going to become, which, actually I don't think it's going to mean improved conditions.
It should.
It should, but I think it's going to mean that animators are going to have more crunch. Absolutely, because Hollywood now is going to produce more animation because they can't do live action stuff, but they're not going to pay more. I don't think they're going to pay more. So we'll talk about that. Before we get into it, please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants. We're at almost 150,000 subs. Thank you for that. And so tell me about this. You had a friend kick this over.
Oh, yeah, a friend Sarah sent it over. She sent this over. What they're trying to do is they're trying to raise money, and they're doing it by calling it the 2020 New Anime Making System Project. And they're basically taking a music video, and they're going to pay for this one project. They're going to pay the animators 2 to 3 times what they normally get paid to try to. I guess they're trying to make a statement in the industry and hoping that other people follow suit. You can read all about it here. That's how I know about it.
The New Anime Making System Project 2020. That's an interesting thing to call. Japanese animators have suffered from low wages, long work hours, and exploitative outsourcing contracts for decades.
Which is true.
That is true. Because of this, the entire industry has faced impoverishment. In recent years, the increased in inconsistent, low-quality animation shows getting taken off the air and degradation, art quality have become very serious problems. Actually, yeah, you can see this in shows now. Like if you look at a new show, if it's not like a major show, the quality compared to even an average show like 10 or 15 years ago.
We're seeing on shows that are mainstream here in the United States. Looks like basically like Flash animation.
So under the circumstances, we're extremely concerned about the future of Japanese animation. We don't see any way for things to change without the help of fans. Crunchyroll was supposed to help, but they gave all that money to High Guardian Spice.
Right.
So if improving the current anime industry is too difficult, let's craft a new anime industry as fans.
It's not that easy.
Oh, God,
I really appreciate and respect the idea behind this. I don't think it's going to work. But I really appreciate and respect the idea behind it.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, I don't want to mock these guys.
No, I think that they're trying to do something. At least they're trying to do something. And I will bring attention to it. We will definitely promote this and bring attention to it in the chance that it does help. Or I don't think this alone. I think people with platforms and voices speaking out and bringing anime fans as a group and a lot of them, raising questions, that could change it. Yeah.
And I think studios are going to have to just fundamentally change how they do things.
Right.
So as a step toward this path, we created the New Anime Making System Project 2020, a music video project that seeks to set a higher standard for the anime industry by paying animators a fair wage. To act as an aspirational beacon to the rest of our friends in anime studios all over Japan, we will raise the tides of our industry with the support of the global anime fandom.
I think you can raise the tides of the industry with support of the global anime fandom. I just don't think this one thing just by itself is enough. It had to be go mainstream, and everybody'd have to be speaking out and fighting for it. You need I don't know.
And the thing is, a lot of those shows are getting, and we'll talk about the economics of this, because a lot of those shows are getting canceled because the money is not there. And probably one of the biggest things you can do as an anime fan is not pirate anime.
Yes, we keep saying that.
And I understand people have issues with the different dub companies like Funimation and all that, but what I'm saying is, even if you buy the Japanese disc imported or something, the sales have to be there. And so much of this stuff is pirated now that, when the money's not there, they're not going to pass it on to the animators. We collaborated with over 20 artists who have offered us their music videos as a charity for this project. Using the music, we will create an animated music video, like an anime opening with Japanese animators. So we are the world.
Yeah, and that's great for this one project, but you're just helping for this one short project. It's not like it's a movie or an ongoing series. It's like for, a couple months worth of work, you get 3 to 4 times or 2 to 3 times whatever it is your pay.
So this is true, and I'm going to pull some of these up here. The average salary for an animator is about $9,000, $10,000 a year. That's about $810 per month. US. For rookies in their first year at a company, there are even times when they earn less than 30,000 yen. Rent for a standard studio apartment in Tokyo is about 60,000 yen. Well, that's why some of these studios aren't actually in Tokyo.
Right.
They're outside. There are many reasons for this. They talk about the low cost of in-between animation. And a lot of Japanese studios are actually outsourcing their in-between animation to other countries that work even cheaper.
Yeah, do it even less.
You know?
And those people get screwed even more. So, go ahead.
Yeah, but, like in the Philippines, honestly, you can get more bang for your buck because the cost of living isn't as high. In Tokyo, the cost of living is, very, very high. But they're talking about the drop in art quality because, it's hard, to keep up. And a lot of it is the demand, though, because there's so many anime series now.
And it's going to get worse.
It's going to get worse. You've got companies like, Netflix that are going to triple down on anime production, animation. And, you have all the Westerners demanding more animation that, we're going to see a drop in quality because these studios are scrambling to keep up. So you have to find talented people willing to work dirt cheap, and they can keep up the pace. And, you're going to see a labor shortage for sure. So they're talking about, it's basically just a history of it. And we've talked about it before. This has been something that's discussed often. But I think it's so funny. We have people talking about how bad the working conditions are for animators and how poor these animators are. And then they're like, yep, I'm going to go torrent some anime now. Do you hear yourself? But now here's the thing. Here's where experience comes into play because I'm really sorry to break it to you. And this is, I hate to burst your bubble. And again, we do appreciate what they're trying to do. But just because this project happens, it's not going to resonate with the studios because the studios have, it's the studios that set the prices and they're competing with other studios for production dollars. And if you give someone a budget and they say, hey, it's going to cost you, and it's very expensive. Even, dirt cheap animation, it's expensive now. The average cost of a simple 60-second animation is $6,000. Whole episode can cost between $100,000 and $300,000. So you're talking millions of dollars. You can't just all of a sudden be like, hey, I know, guys, that Hollywood is running out of money, that, anime Blu-ray sales are down because everybody's pirating stuff, but we're going to have to triple the amount of money we're charging you to produce this content. And
because you need so many people to do it, you have one budget, but it has to go amongst all these people to do the work. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I mean, it is shit. I'm not going to lie. It's crappy. I'm just saying this is why I don't think something like this alone, it could be a catalyst, but this alone is not going to be enough to make a change.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great idea on paper, no pun intended. But what it would really take is somebody like Netflix, deciding that they were going to pay more. Because we look at the controversy around Netflix and what they're paying the animators on Carmen Sandiego. They're working with people in the Philippines. They're actually getting paid less, I believe, than the Japanese animation studios. And look, these companies are going to get the stuff as cheap as they can because they got to make money. So they're looking at profit margins. And you can't just throw a wrench into the budget and be like, everything costs 3 to 4 times as much now.
Right. And if one company said, okay, I'm going to charge these studios more, they're just going to go to another place that's going to be less. And unless people all demand, they're not working for that. That's not going to change anything. We see it with comics all the time. Well, this place is only paying $20 a page because people will work for $20 a page. And, I don't know what the solution is, but it hasn't changed so far. No matter how many times it's been brought to light, no matter how many campaigns that have happened, it stays the same because there's always people willing to work for that. I think that it's a great idea. I think the heart's in the right place. I think it could be used as an example and a catalyst, but it alone is not going to be enough. It's going to take all the people with platforms, all the mainstream media, all the anime fans pressuring the studios to make a change. And even then, unless the money's there, they're not going to do it because they can't stay in business.
Yeah, well, they address that actually in the Kickstarter too. That's interesting. Yeah, so they've actually thought it through. But it's what would happen is, I think there would be significantly less anime being made just all the way around because it would be too expensive to produce. And then we would have studios going out of business, which meant that we'd have a bunch of artists out of work.
Yeah. So there's I don't know what the solution is.
I don't have a solution either.
But I applaud the effort. I just don't think it's going to make the change they think it's going to make.
Yeah, so they're talking about how they think that the Japanese animation studios should unionize. And what'll happen is, like Hollywood, they'll just sidestep it. They'll go to another country.
Ask Kickstarter how that works.
Yeah, ask Kickstarter. Yeah. Oh, irony. Yeah. Okay. So this project is on Kickstarter. Kickstarter employees got together and formed a union so they could dictate what kinds of projects could be put on the platform. And within like 6 months, the pandemic hit, and Kickstarter used it as an excuse to get rid of their union employees because now they're hiring back people doing effectively the same thing but not unionized.
Right.
The hard reality is that you have to be able to balance activism and good intentions with what is pragmatic.
And not every country is going to have the same union laws and things like that you have in the United States. Now, if this campaign would suddenly go insane, like berserker or something, and get like, $2 million, something like that, that would be enough, I think, to send a message. That people really legitimately care about this, that people are willing to pay for it in some way or fund things in some way. I think it's just going to be more crowdfunded projects. But that, if it did really, really, really well, that might send a message. But unless the money's there, they really just don't care.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's just, it's unfortunate.
It's not just them. I mean, that's just these corporations in general.
No, they don't care. They're going to look at profit margins. But I think it's a project worth boosting. It's a good idea. I don't know what the solution is. It would basically take wherever the money is coming from, and a lot of it is coming from the West at this point. Those people would have to be like, yeah, we're totally comfortable paying 2 to 3 times as much per episode as we've been paying. And I can guarantee you, especially with the situation Hollywood's in right now, not going to happen. It's not going to happen.
I think people that are subscribing to these services would pay more if they thought the money was going there, but they thought that before and then the money didn't go there.
Yeah, well, there's that too, because a lot of times when they raise money for charity, and Crunchyroll, look, Crunchyroll kept telling everybody that, the money for the subscriptions were going to pay animators better, and they took it and they tried to do High Guardian Spice. That's why people were so pissed. And a lot of Japanese animators, I guess, have come forward and said that they haven't reaped anything positive from Crunchyroll or Funimation or whatever. They were promised that they would be paid better, and that did not happen. What's going on is these companies that are owned by corporations like Warner Media are basically just pocketing all the extra money.
That's what I'm saying. We raise money and raise the idea, and people are like saying, okay, yes, we're gonna raise the prices on it. Doesn't mean that the money's actually going to go to the people doing the work. So I don't even know what the answer is, to be honest with you. I mean, like I said, I think this is really cool that they're trying to do something. Because, we all sit here in an armchair to the cows come home, but they're actually out there trying to make a change. So for that, I 100% support it. I hope they're right. This is one time I hope we're wrong and they're right. And I think if they get the amount of people and a large amount of money, they might be able to actually be able to leverage it. And with some of these people they have on here with a lot of subscribers and stuff, they should be able to, but I don't know.
It's an uphill battle, guys. I mean, it really is. And again, I don't want to poo-poo it because at least they're doing something.
No, and I think it could work, but it's going to take a lot more. It's going to take a lot for it to send the message they want it to send. Just this one little project isn't going to be enough unless they can really get it mainstream and get the backing for it to raise awareness.
Yeah.
But even then, companies are just going to say, oh, yeah, fine. And then it doesn't mean the money is going to go to the people who are supposed to get it.
That's kind of, my whole philosophy on things. And maybe it's because we're older than a lot of these people, but measure twice and cut once. Do your research, find out where the problem actually is, and then work on those decision makers to change things and try to come up with something that's viable. And you might only be able to meet halfway. Be like, well, we can give them better working conditions. We can maybe, increase the rate a little bit, but we can't go over this amount of money. But being able to pay people realistically 2 to 4 times what they're making now is not.
And the realism, the situation is there are a lot of people who want to do this, and they're more than willing to work for that cheap rate because they want the chance. And that's what we see in comics all the time too. Same thing.
Well, yeah, because people are complaining about comics and boom, and like you said, paying $20 a page. Why are they accepting it? Because that's what they're willing to work for. And then there were a lot of people talking about how there needs to be a union in comic books. It's like comic book publishers are hanging on by their fingertips. They are not going to unionize. And what will happen, and I saw this because I used to color comics, is they'll just outsource the work to other countries where people work much, much cheaper. And this happened. A lot of comics are being colored in other countries. In India, for example, they're being colored much cheaper than they could be in the U.S. And that's what they do. They got to make a profit, you know?
Yeah.
So I don't know. But, I'll put a link in the description to this. Hopefully I won't get zonked for it. You guys can check it out for yourselves. Kind of curious what your thoughts are on it. I think it's a good idea. I just don't know how it's gonna work. So
Yeah.
all right, we're gonna wrap it up.
Yep.
Okay, so please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, and we'll talk later.
Bye.